The middle of the battlefield was strewn with corpses. Blood and rainwater mixed together. This young man was the only survivor. He sighed. Looking at the scene before his eyes, Ronald took a deep breath. They died a lot. In the end, only he had to witness this scene. A two-dude is too careless. A voice rang out, making Ronald turn his head in panic. He gritted his teeth. Who would have thought? The big guy lying at his feet is still alive. Moreover, he still had the strength to open his mouth and criticize him a few words. He belongs to the category of giants Atuzot. 20 days ago, he invited 2 of his teammates to come. Human Empire. Smash. But now he is the only one who has not been destroyed. Ronan angrily stomped his foot in the middle of his seal. Because of him, half of the Empire has become a cemetery. But why is he still alive now? Don't worry, it won't be long now. Atu-Hoda will be back by your side soon. He suppressed the pain and replied to Ronald, mentioning his 2 best friends, already waiting in paradise. One became a giant sausage, grilled by being spit on fire by a chain dragon. The rest will hibernate forever, thanks to his lullaby. I'm worried about kissing you. Don't you understand? The stupid Ronald smiled smugly, looking at him as a loser. But the name is big. Hazot didn't pay any attention to the 2 guys accompanying him. He knows clearly. Those 2 guys were buried with those 2 powerful humans. That means strong people like Ronald are dead. This is the harsh truth, which Ronald doesn't want to admit. But he still responded strongly. Because you're still standing in front of him. Speaking first, don't go past the giant who teaches your life. Him. Looking at it, I know that Ronald doesn't have much time left to live. If you realize your skills early, and focus on training, then it has become a major obstacle to their dreams. Seems to have been poked right. Pain. Ronald gritted his teeth in discomfort. He knows his life is very pathetic. But he doesn't want to hear it again. The story of this rotten mouth guy. If you die, just shut up and die. You are a great human being. You have the right to be proud. But in the end, your world will soon be engulfed by starlight. Then disappeared. Those were the last words. The last lettuce of the big guy. Before Ronan chopped off his head. Ronald's eyes were empty as he looked. There were pools of blood on the ground. After everything, what will you do? He took each difficult step towards his teammates. People who brought me good memories. And now those people are in front of him. But the breath has long since stopped. Stupid bastards, Ronald cursed in pain. Why are they so arrogant that they fight to the death? Do you think that if you are strong then everyone is strong? You must know how to choose a situation and run away. Save your life. Ronald gently stroked down the half-open eyes of his teammate, so he can close his eyes and leave. He wondered, how could the giants counter even the aura sword? Strongest in the Empire, but only hurt by your sword. If only I knew this early. A lowly human resources soldier like you will be ready to go to the front line. At that time his teammates. I won't leave like that either. Ronald felt overwhelmed with guilt. He really didn't know he possessed that power. It's not that I don't want to fight. While drowning in negative thoughts, a weak voice rang out. Is there anyone there? The familiar voice woke Ronald up. Using all his strength to resist the sword, he dragged himself to search. The owner of this voice is still alive. He saw that figure in front of that giant rock. Ronald seemed to have saved a ray of hope. Their distant commander is still alive. Every time I see flowers blooming, I think spring has come. But their commander-in-chief was also injured and pushed himself. He helplessly gritted his teeth and approached. Their talented leaders also became disabled one day. Essen couldn't help but be surprised. Before the power of a humble soldier like you. But more important, what she cares about are the big guys at Tujot. I killed him then, Ronald replied understandingly. This is the sentence that Essen wants to hear the most. It was like letting go of thousands of years of suffering. Tears welled up in her eyes. Thank you very much, non-commissioned officer Ronald. Ronald was quiet, looking at the leader as cold as an iceberg. There are also days of crying. By the way, she thanked me. He wanted to ask her one small thing. Normally, according to regulations, the soldiers' bodies will be burned or thrown away. But he couldn't bear it. Looking at my teammates like that, Ronald wanted Essen to give orders. Body disposal. A little more kindness. But Essen is not sure if she is still dead now. It's not good that I'm better than you. Above all, you should go look after them yourself. As soon as Audistan finished speaking, Ronald coughed. On his hand, it was a pile of blood pouring from the mouth. He could also die at any time now. But it seems that Ronald does not feel miserable. I just feel sorry because normally I just play around. Dancing. Unable to do anything, God forced him into a hole. Essen was speechless. Is this how someone on a date talks? She was curious. If Ronald survived, what would he want to do? Of course Ronald still wants to live. But the only thing he was curious about was the feeling. Go to the academy. What will it be like? Audistan was surprised by his answer just now. The last words of that big guy made him think. But most importantly, that was the sister's last wish, which he appreciates. But what a pity. Maybe just a few more minutes. You will be reunited with your family. Essen still has faith in the rescue team. But he told her to list herself as a missing person. Those are just useless things. The raindrops gradually came from above. The light gradually dawned. Both people were suddenly startled. Suddenly the storm stopped. Next came an unpleasant Ronald landslide. What the heck is going on? At the end of your life will you encounter an earthquake? But the light in front of my eyes made Ronald's heart stop beating. An 8-winged giant whose name was captured appear before your eyes. Accompanying him were hundreds of thousands of other large animals. Where did they crawl out from when they landed? Essen despaired at this scene. The 3 giants gave them a hard time. Now there must be 3,000 more names. Essen's eyes are empty. She muttered. In the end, I still couldn't save the world. But 3 times? There's only one last chance left. I can't think of anything else. Commander Ronald's call echoed in, causing Essen to wake up. He was trying so hard to call her that his throat was hoarse. He wondered what the hell was wrong with her. Now is the time for her to use her superpowers. Telepathy or something to throw you up there. Underground. His sword couldn't even touch their bodies. Essen was stunned, not understanding anything in this situation. But Ronaldo still has the fighting spirit. What else? Ronald angrily replied he would rather fight. Fighting is better than sitting here waiting to die. But even if I die, then you also have to pull out all the feathers on the wings. There's down. Only then can I die with peace of mind. Ronald's spirit makes Essen admire. But it's not surprising because Ronald is like that. If not, so how could they have come this far? Corporal Ronald. Essen put his hand on Ronald's shoulder, annoyed. What the heck? I'm very busy so I won't talk much. But Essen's next action confused him. Know what to do. In front of thousands of eyes. But Essen glued her lips to his lips. Especially in a situation where 2 children are about to die. But from Essen's mouth, a green gem is infused. Ronald pushed her away with suspicion. What the hell did you put in my mouth? Essen used all his strength to whisper into Ronan's ear. He tried his best to stretch his ears. Let's hear what she has to say. But the words Essen uttered makes him think she's having a fit of paranoia. I'm about to die. That's why I spouted those nonsense sentences. Corporal Ronan. Essen whispered if we could meet again. Can you tell me? Don't try to do stupid things anymore. Just settle down and be a tailor. Essen's words surprised Ronan. Now I have done so many things. But I have never tried that. Essen smiled contentedly. It seemed she had accepted her impending death. Captured the Aora summon. He aimed straight at the last 2 people in front of him. A terrible explosion occurred, submerging everything around. Essen's gem glows. then disappears into nothingness. Time just passed by, until Ronald suddenly woke up. He breathed heavily and shouted Essen's name. But the familiar peaceful scene before my eyes, causing his breath to stop. The grass field is 8 acres wide. The green river is gentle and poetic under his hands. This is green grass full of vitality, not the bloody ground. Ronald couldn't believe his eyes. This is his Limbutan hometown. This means that he has truly returned to the past. Ronald sat under the tree and sighed. He thought those words were from the commander-in-chief. These are some delusional words. Just strength. At that moment Essen said what she put in her mouth. He is a gem that can turn back time. That's what she used to climb from a tailor. Promoted to commander-in-chief of the army. The gem allows you to turn back time 4 times. But she used it all 3 times. And this is the only chance. Finally Essen decided to give it to Ronald. He has the power to kill giants. Surely he will be a key factor to prevent the destruction of this world. Final. Essen hopes he won't waste that last chance. Practice your skills diligently. Especially when I had to go to Ronald Academy, I was startled at that moment. It's just that you're talking nonsense. Essen pretended not to hear. She advised him to go to Faiyan Academy, where there are excellent people who will teach you. And the last word is Essen's wish. She hopes he can advise her. Just settle down as a tailor. Don't be greedy and climb up to become commander-in-chief. Or something else. Ronald was now pulling his hair out and swearing. It's unbelievable. If this is a dream, please wake up quickly. But even though I can return to the past for Real, so what can I do alone? Ronald's past suddenly awakened. He picked up his wooden sword. If this is the past, then he will be able to meet you again. Then Ronald ran through the familiar road. The heart is constantly waiting. In just a little while you will be able to see that person. A scene that caught his eye made him stop. Those bastards are hanging a child upside down. But he's no stranger to these young thugs. Now I just want to go home. Wait. That child wasn't hanging by a rope. Ronald was about to leave. But the foot was hung up by the child's magic. Get his attention. Magic users are definitely very valuable. But it's rare on the battlefield. Yet it appeared in this remote rural area. Now Ronald fully accepts the job. I have returned to the past. He suddenly remembered that maybe they were here too. At this time, a red-haired young man was using his magic. Hang that kid on the tree. But he was trembling. I'm afraid something will happen to that kid. Please stop, I really don't have money. The unfortunate child cried and begged. The boy had to leave money to buy medicine for his mother. So what do you want me to do? The leader patted his face and smiled mischievously. He said he had nothing to worry about. For your mother's health. Then he raised his hand and slapped the boy in the face. While beating him, he acted superior. If you are a filial son, then you should earn more money, right? Tired of beating him, he turned to call the red-haired young man. Order him to drag the boy to the top of the tree. He trembled and did not dare to do it. If your hand slips, it's gone. He was sarcastic. Isn't he hanging up already? Shut up and pull it up quickly, Io. Before you are hung with it. Io was cornered. Why did things turn out like this? Was it a mistake for you to learn magic? He just wanted to show everyone. I'm just good at something. Io's hands trembled. You definitely cannot do what he wants. But he was also afraid. Io's eyes filled with tears. The justice in you does not allow you to surrender. Please stop. Io mustered all her courage and shouted loudly. Suddenly a wooden stick hit his head, causing the young man to startle and feel pain. Ronald promptly appeared. Stop Io. Before he used too much magic. Made the boy die. The haunted house lost control of the magic that bound the boy's feet. Losing his entire body, he fell to the ground. The leader appeared upset and turned back to question Io. When it says stop, do you stop? You thought I was joking with you or something? Io stepped back in fear. Ronald turned to speak. Don't worry about that Chubin guy. Just talk to me. The leader was still standing behind and shouting. But Ronald doesn't care what the hell he's barking at. He wondered where Io learned teleportation magic. Angel answered honestly. He studied in a magic book. Buy from a street stall. The answer surprised Ronald. Learn from cheap books. Not sure if the product is fake or real. But how good was it? This is truly a talent, Ronald told himself. I will observe more myself. Then evaluate. Does teleportation magic have any effect on the big guys? To know. The sound of drawing a sword interrupted Ronald's thoughts. The leader pulled out the sword with an angry aura. Don't you dare ignore me? It seems like I lost to you on purpose. So you have become arrogant. Huh? But today I will correct you. After he finished speaking, he rushed towards Ronald. He didn't panic. Just curious where this poor guy got it from. A real long sword. Although his posture was so bad that it was pathetic. But he has power. So he also claims to dominate an area around here. Of course that was when he hadn't appeared yet. Ronald gently avoided his sword strike. He widened his eyes in surprise. Ronald avoiding his sword was out of the script. Contrast with Ronald. Even though he returned to the past, his skills remained the same. What sticks with him is discipline. No matter where you go, it won't disappear. Furthermore, he also has fighting intuition. The thing that helps him win against the giant Atuzut. The black guy with bleached hair smiled foolishly. Good luck eating. I even intend to make you unable to lift a spoon. For the rest of my life. Ronald admitted that it was true that he was lucky today. Even though my whole life has been unlucky. He's delusional. I thought I was lucky to avoid my sword. Tell me if you want to make peace, kneel down. He will spare his life but must leave behind an arm. I'm so scared. Ronald scratched his neck. I don't care about his nonsense.
If he kill you.
Then I will definitely treat your sister well. Talking about Ronald's sister becomes serious. He smiled proudly when talking about her. His face is so thick that he can tell. Every time I see my sister, he has dirty thoughts. Ronald was angry. Slash a line with his wooden stick. Fresh blood and flesh splashed out. One of the blonde-haired, brown-skinned guy's ears flew away. He dropped his sword and hugged his painful ear. His face was pale and tear-stained. The juniors standing from afar and watching also felt sorry for him. Who told you to play stupid? Hey bastard! Ronald stepped closer. With a face that couldn't hide its anger. Do you want to die? The air was so tense that it was suffocating. These three young men trembled and could not believe their eyes. When Ronald cut off that guy's ear with just a wooden stick. Hey, you guys are having so much fun watching. One sentence from Ronald made all three of them retract their trunks. He chased them back to the barn. If you don't want to listen for the rest of your life. With an ear Ronald does not forget. Kick the guy lying on the ground a few more times. Making him moan. Of course before leaving. They must leave some compensation money. 7 mental damage for you too. Water money washes the blood off your beautiful stick. They did not dare to object a word. So a heavy bag of money fell into the boy's hands. Hanging upside down in amazement. He didn't expect Ronald to give him all the money. This place must be 4 or 5 times the amount of money you robbed. Ronald only took a few coins and that was enough. Furthermore, he also told him to live in peace. That's what a bunch of rabbits are. I don't dare go back again. The boy cried with joy and thanked Ronald. He waved his hand and told him to go home quickly. Where did the strange noise come from? Making both of them wonder. Turning my head, I saw Io hesitantly wanting to say something. I'm really sorry. After saying sorry, Io bowed his head. Tears fell profusely. You know it well. You should not help bad people do that. Even though that son of a bitch threatened you. But Io was really scared. To the point where nothing can be done. She admitted all her mistakes. But the freckled boy only smiled gently. Angel, you're crying like that again. When that one-eared guy brought Angel here, he recognized his accomplices. Bullies. He put his hand on Io's shoulder. Encourage yourself not to blame yourself like that. To you, Io is always kind and talented. However, he still accepted his desire to apologize. After speaking, the boy hugged the bundle of money and left. Only 2 people left. Ronald only glanced at this moment to evaluate. He realized that the kid Io was also that bad. Just being bullied. He whistled at Io's shoulder, waking him from his thoughts. Just now, the 2 of you said there was something you needed to discuss. Io almost forgot that Ronald promised him another 4 days. See you again here. Io hesitated, not understanding Ronald ignored it. Just leave. Don't forget to make an appointment at moonrise. Of course. If you don't come, the consequence will be the loss of both hands. But not one. Io was afraid and did not dare to comment. It wasn't until Ronald left that he was able to block the information. Ronald left in such a hurry to return home. He stood in front of the door nervously looking at the bouquet of flowers in his hand. Ask yourself if you are overdoing it. He remembered that his sister liked flowers. But I don't know what kind of flower it is. The first time doing it made Ronald shy. He turned away and wanted to throw the bouquet somewhere else to avoid embarrassment. Suddenly the door opened. She wondered who was outside. Turns out it's you, Star Ronald. Are you back? The familiar voice had not been heard for a long time. Make my heart go away. A moment in my past life when I was in the army. He always wondered what he would say when he saw her again. So sorry for leaving. Don't say a word or say that you miss her very much. Ronald had always thought about the moment he would see her again. But now when I stand in front of you, I always want to see you again. Showing off his spicy nose, Ronald lowered his head. Through many ups and downs. The only thing he can say is, I'm back. Inside the warm house of 2 sisters, Irene was happily holding a flower in her hand and exclaiming, Oh my God! I didn't expect her to be alive. The day came when my cold brother gave me flowers. Irene was so happy that she couldn't stop laughing. Ronald's ears turned red. It's okay if you like it. Irene asked him if he was full. Do you want to eat more stewed meat? But Ronald was too full. After eating 3 carloads of rice were full. Stuff more. Well, he died before the giants appeared. Above all, what Ronald wondered about was the past. He asked Irene how old she was this year. The stupid question made Irene confused. This year she is 22 years old. But the younger brother forgot his age. Irene wondered if it was her brother's head. Where did I hit? That's why today we started giving flowers. And then asked about my age. But right now Ronald is calculating in his mind. In 15 more days those big bastards will land in the Empire. A warm hand was placed on his forehead. Irene is really worried about his health. Ronald feels this scene is very peaceful. His sister is always smiling like that. Good-natured and warm. Been through so much pain. Ronald wished this moment could last forever. But to keep this happiness. Next 15 years, I will protect the world and Irene. Ronald hesitated. Then decided to talk to Irene. I plan to join the academy. Why academy? Irene was stunned for a moment. Afterward, immediately changed to an excited face like a child. Needless to say, she was so happy that she shed tears. Irene kept asking Ronald again. Every time she mentioned going to school. I also don't want to listen. So when Ronald proactively requested, Irene was suddenly happy. Can't wait anymore. Irene immediately ran to the corner of the kitchen, making Ronald confused. Irene hurriedly brought 6 piles of things. Even the sleeping mouse was thrown away by Irene. Then Irene put it on the floor. A large jar startled Ronald. Irene always has faith that this day will come. So she prepared a surprise gift for him. Ronald was surprised. A jar filled with sparkling gold coins. Irene is proud. Show off your money-saving achievements. Irene was just waiting for this day. If Ronald decides to go to school now, then I will pay your tuition fees. Ronald was really surprised by Irene. I don't know how long she has been preparing this case. Even so. But Ronald wants Irene to spend this money. Because for me that's not enough. Irene was startled when her younger brother criticized her for having little money. She wondered where Ronald wanted to study. But it takes so much money. Royal School. Phil Academy. This name makes Iron stupid. Phil Academy is a pioneering educational institute. The best in the whole empire. This place gathers the most famous professors. All 6 grounds along with that. An extremely abundant fund. Coming from the great families of the empire. In short, this is a place given to students. Best educational opportunity. Phil Academy. There are enough conditions to be called a heroic furnace. The reputation here is extremely great. General Essen Master Swordsman Julie Fan. The worst criminal the Ice Witch.
etc. and so on.
The guys from Phil. Quite useful in the fight with the 3 big guys. To the extent that Ronald can understand. Why did Commander Essen want you to study there? Now Ronald is on his way to the meeting point. Of course with great reputation. Then Phil's entry standards are also extremely high. Along with huge tuition fees. Especially for a poor guy from the countryside like you. But Ronald was a bit sad at Iron's reaction. Maybe she can't trust her brother. All day long I pick up leaves from my avocado pipes. I have a dream of studying at a polytechnic school. Then it's okay. I will bring you the best results for Iron. Raise your eyebrows and face. But first of all, Ronald was quite surprised when Io came here. Before, of course Io did not dare to let Ronald climb the tree. When he threatened to cut off his face. Not a drop of blood left. Ronald told him to forget about it. And build a beautiful image of him in your heart. And the main story of tonight is a Ronald test for AEO. He threw the heavy backpack over his shoulder. To the ground before the eyes. Io's eyes widened in surprise. You don't understand what the hell he's trying to do. Well, there's nothing much to receive. Use your psychic powers on me. Io, Ronald said in excitement. I want to know how high Io can lift me. Of course. Io couldn't believe what he heard. Is a coward. So you don't want to try the one-step reincarnation thing. But in Ronald's eyes, that won't help you get reincarnated. Just try it first. Io hesitated then agreed. He shouted loudly at the invisible hand. A stream of graphite was like lightning towards Ronald. Then his body gradually became lighter and floated. Everything is gradually stabilizing. Even better than he imagined. Although there are still shortcomings in terms of height and balance. But this feeling is still the same as back then. During the battle with a Tuzot. His mental strength enabled him to fight. On par with that big guy. This is called spiritual power. It is a rare ability among rare people. This means AE will become one of the most important factors. To be able to assist in the battle against A2 wrote. Ronald smiled complacently. Starts like this too. NDT0 is very bad or not, we will only know after 15 years. And now Io is struggling. Difficulty in controlling Ronald. He wanted to put him down right now. But Ronald still wants to play around a little more. No need for you to throw it down, I will jump out myself. Io was startled and confused. He didn't know there was any way for people to be controlled. You can get down by yourself. If you don't know, open your eyes and see Ronald. Swing the long sword tightly. Io's mana flow was interrupted in his surprise. Then land gently from a height of several meters. Il couldn't help but ask Ronan curiously. I thought you asked. He jumped down so easily. Immediately said. At home, I practice acrobatics like Spider-Man all the time. So it's familiar. But what I want to ask is, the fact that you can cut off the flow of mana. His answer is to leave it alone. Because you don't know either. Accompanied by a head knock. Makes his head hurt. Ronald's homework today is to find out. What is your mana slashing skill? Why can your sword affect those 2 huge zoots? After rearranging my thoughts. Now Ronald has something to do. He threw the backpack. For you. Then it was announced that he was accepted to be my disciple. Now he follows me to do things. Before dawn. Angel is worried. He has never gone out at night with any boy. But Ronald ignores him. Today it is very possible. will become the first page in the book. Autobiography of Ronald. The greatest person in this entire empire should also be. On the way, Ronan told Io about Fion Academy. But he wondered if his hand was broken. They were actually on their way to Filial Academy. The honor consists of only the elite members of the empire. Why is Ronan so upset? That's right. Don't ask again and again. Why don't you want to go? He asked him back. Io stammered in denial. He saw that Ronald had talent. Martial arts will probably be fine. And you have no talent at all. If you have knowledge about your personality, you're timid and taciturn. Io. He wanted to continue living like that. Why did Ronald interrupt him? He warns young people. Io has great talent. But you're wasting it. By making people laugh. Does he want to live a life like a clown king? Io was poked in Ronald's heart. Continue to criticize his shallow thinking. Cowardly and taciturn. A baby cries for all sorts of reasons. More precisely, he is the type of person who is afraid of 7 defeats. All of these, like shining straight into a dark corner of Io's heart, leaving him unable to refute anything. However, that's okay with Ronald, because people can change. Only time that has passed cannot be regained. And one day Io will definitely regret it, just like how he once regretted it. On the battlefield of a past life. I don't want a second life. There continue to be unnecessary errors. After preaching for a while, Ronald patted Io on the shoulder. Encourage him. He blushed under the illusion that Ronald cared. Worried about myself all this time. Ronald is still restless. Anyway, Io's life is left for him to decide. It's just that I lost a wonderful errand boy. Seeing that Io remained bewildered, he helplessly left. He frantically waved the drill. Ronald. I want to change. I will go to Fion with you. So please teach me what to do. Ronald smiled triumphantly at being able to herd the child. First chicken. He returned with a cold face and looked at him. Okay, this is the first time. You get to show off your masculinity, Io. Io was as confused as an owl. But still the fiery spirit followed. He said with a smile that gradually lost his humanity. Proud of his psychological manipulation achievements. A fire is being built in the middle of a forest. Io's heart skipped a beat at the scene in her eyes. He hesitantly asked Ronald again to make sure. Is this really the first time he's had to go through it? Of course, he replied calmly. I have blown up this whole forest. And found a unique opponent. Let Io reveal all his talents. It's the night moon goblin. Sitting alone, looking alone. However, it is the leader of the night moon goblins. This is sleeping. Don't you think Io is great? Great damn pants. Io didn't understand why she followed this crazy guy. Now let's get started. Shall we? Looking at this face, who would believe that he is the male lead? Moon demons are goblins. Often appears in this area. Most people. It's easy to distinguish them from normal goblins. Through their yellow skin and deformed bodies. They are crazy about gold and all kinds of jewels. That's why they ambushed merchants and robbed them. Then gather all the stolen things in one place. Then hold a party all night long. Especially on full moon nights like today.
Angel trembled and prayed.
They didn't come here today to do that. But Ronald said there was a belt. His face revealed a sinister look. It's been a long time since he stole. Today they will collect all that gold, silver and jewels. Angel had never heard the story. The moon demons gathered their treasures in one place. Then hold a party. But most of all, how did Ronald know? Ronald hummed through it. How can you say that you wandered in your past life? Then go in and ask for a piece of their food. Suddenly he grabbed my shoulder with a dangerous face. I just need him to use his remote control ability. It's okay to transfer all the treasure into this bag. Take advantage while they are still drunk. It's not easy, of course it's not easy at all. What if you accidentally let the treasure fall on someone's head? Then what happens when everyone wakes up? Well, both of them were gradually destroyed. That was Io's thought, so he panicked. Quickly withdraw. The incomplete revolution makes Ronald angry. Immediately continued his preaching. To get into Fine Academy they need two important things. The first, of course, it's impossible to lack money to pay tuition. And Fine tuition is very expensive. Second is actual combat experience. Money is important though, but experience is more important. In Philion there are all nobles, professionally trained. Since we were children we were in love. Position. So if you want to compete with them, there is only one way. Risk your life and do it. I feel like Io is actually more afraid of Ronald. Goblins are more correct. Under Ronald's review, the moon demons are a perfect opponent. They have both money and experience. Even more profitable than hunting for shoppy sales. Am I wrong, or do you have a better idea? Ronald's constant questions made Io speechless. Finally, Ronald patted Io hard to close the order. Tonight, the moon is clear and the wind is cool. The charming scenery is suitable for stealing. Gold coins, jewelry treasures, gemstone, silently moving from the yang of the moon demon. Into the backpack. Can't see Ronald's bottom. Io is holding back. Breathing is done slowly and most assuredly. Under the coordination of Ronald. Look at the pile of sparkling treasures becoming more and more full. Ronald's smile gradually lost its humanity. All the bags they brought were full. Today's KPI is enough. Ronald turned to rub his head. Io encouraged. Experience for him. As for the money, let me keep it for you. Angel also felt more excited. The feeling of successfully stealing is Yomost. Ronald looked at his number one chicken proudly. He is not confident that he would adapt so quickly, but he's better. I think there's a lot of potential for stealing. Mistaken magical potential. But the most important thing is, I found a good henchman. My first time working at a multi-level job was successful beyond my expectations. Ronald rearranged the bag and told Ale to prepare to leave. He was visibly happy. Really, just doing that will complete the mission. Ronald calmly. Work went smoothly beyond expectations. Should be back soon. If you stay a little longer, trouble might come your way. If you remind me, I will come. The two hunters ran away, cursing and shouting loudly. Hey, those two brats, stop there. The two thieves were startled. Ronald asked them. Who is crazy to run and scream in the middle of the night like this? But more importantly, this moon demon has been awakened. It wondered. It's the middle of the night. Who set the alarm that loud? His eyes collided with the empty ocean and he howled. What an uneducated dog. Take all its sparkling jewels. Alarm bell. It was its screaming voice, causing all the moon demons to wake up. They were in a commotion. For the first time in their lives as elves, they were robbed. A finger pointing. Everyone's eyes fell. The two men are secretly leaving.
Ahgawe, Chacher.
Angel felt his life ended. When the moon demons were frantically rushing towards them, he shouted in panic. Language is also disordered. His legs were weak and he slumped to the ground. Ronald threw the bag on the ground. I know that no matter what, something will happen. Everything went so smoothly that he felt like something was missing. Io stuttered now. Should they throw these bags back? Then run for your life. Of course not. Then, without this money, they become capitalist slaves. My whole life is distorted. Enough money to study at Phaion. But that doesn't matter now. Io feels it's important. Best. Now a group of monsters are trying to tear them apart in front of them. Ah, they're coming, Ronald. Io shouted until she lost her voice. Meanwhile Ronald is calm, admiring the bar. Swords were forged from cheap metal at hand. With this weight and stiffness, he predicted it would cut 15 times. While the moon demons have about 30 names. Just as they jumped towards them. With new nails coming home from work.
Ayo only knows how to call Ronald's name.
Ronald has now finished his calculations. 15 hits for 30 fish is enough. He swung and slashed the heads of the first three. 3 bald heads flew past Io's eyes. To his surprise. Now there are 14 more shots left. Ronaldo's expression at this time. It also makes the moon demons wary. Under the moonlight, crows squawked, signaling bad omen. Bad for the moon demon because she encountered the killer star Ronald. He impaled the last skull, thinking it would be difficult but easy. Chubin Angel is still sitting on the ground stunned, wondering what scene I just witnessed. Ronald cut off the heads of 3 goblins. With just one swing of the sword, a group of goblins ran from behind, but Ronald disappeared again, then back again in an instant. Only the heads of the group are visible. The goblin fell to the ground with a thud. Io swallowed her saliva. Fortunately, just now you agreed to follow Ronald. If not, you're probably jumping right now. Top with the goblins in paradise. Then Ronald finished it. The moon demons turned around and asked what the hell Io was doing. Are you planning on sitting until morning and then spending money? Io suddenly woke up. Sorry, Ronald, out of habit. Place the blade on your shoulder. Cooley told him. Let's go home. This is exactly what Io wanted to hear the most. Under the shining moonlight, 2 people struggled to carry the treasure on their shoulders. Ronald felt his shoulder ache. I thought the 2 of us could comfortably travel. Who would have thought it would be this difficult? But the reason Ronald's shoulder hurts is the battle with the goblins. Maybe it's because his body is still growing.
So prime kanstanite.
Why did Ronald grit his teeth and curse himself? In the past, I was lazy. Now, you have to increase your physical training. Angel suddenly remembered. Before that there was a terrible scream. Ronald also doesn't know who these idiots are. At midnight, he ran into the forest like a bull. He had to deal with 30 moon demons. Suddenly an arrow shot towards the waist from behind. He felt it. Something behind him immediately turned around. Right at the moment it was about to pin on AEO. Then Ronald's hand grabbed it tightly. As soon as I mentioned it, they appeared. Angel now recognized the arrow. He felt himself, like just going through the gates of hell. Then go up. Ronald didn't know where the arrow came from. Could it be from that cursed forest? Since when have there been so many stoners there? Suddenly the 2 guys from before appeared. What is the guy holding the bow and arrow saying? These are humans, but they're also kids. Ronald angrily broke the arrow. This guy is old enough to be my uncle, but he's called a kid. Sorry, kids. The guy holding the bow rubbed his head and approached him. They heard something rustling in the distance. So I thought it was a monster. His eyes fell on Ronald's sparkling backpack. Then he turned his eyes to look at his accomplices. Oh my God. We almost killed someone, right? Are you 2 in pain anywhere, Samler? The 2 of them couldn't hide their eyes anymore. Ronald said coldly, causing 2 names to appear in a moment. With a face that couldn't be more villainous than Ronald said. They stopped immediately. Useless actions and revealing your identity. Before he got angry, 2 young men sprayed glue in front of Ronald's scary face. The guy holding the bow slowly walked closer. Haha, it's really our fault. We forgot to introduce ourselves. Sorry, kid. Just said. He silently pulled the dagger from his belt. We are from California. Withdrawing his words, he slashed the knife down on Ronan's head. Ronald remained calm. California stars. His left hand blocked his arm. The other hand punched him in the chin from below. Shocked him to the point of spitting blood. California is another name for cycle. Ronald asked coldly. The blonde guy jumped up from behind, with dagger in hand. The moment the knife passed over Isle's face, he trembled and used magic to shout at Ronald. There is danger. The blonde man gritted his teeth. He couldn't move. Ronald's eyes lit up and happily called Io's name. This minion also knows how to protect his master. The next second Ronald took possession of his dagger. Crazy dancing. Blonde hair name is confusing. He was wondering who he really was. The whole body split into pieces. Pieces of flesh from his body fell to Io's feet. Makes him goosebumps, Ronald. Is he dead? Io stammered and asked Ronald, wiping the blood splatter from his face. Of course he's dead. Why do you have to leave a way to live for your enemy? What he cares about is the name California. These bastards specialize in poaching and kidnapping, trading living people. That group can commit any criminal act. It is the most cruel group of criminals in the empire. Just explained Ronald. Just ended the life of the man holding the bow and arrow. Don't forget to say Io to get to go with me. Otherwise, now, his organs are on their way to Cambodia. So here he is doing good work for the empire. No, they are criminals. But letting them continue to roam around is evil. Now there are two people. They can really go home now. Suddenly the bag behind jumped up. Startled Ronald. How the hell can this bag move? Agil realized. That's the bag those two criminals brought here. He guessed this was a hunted animal. Ronald also thought the same. He removed the rope so that the animal inside could be freed. Green eyes appeared. Then it cried out once and then flew out. From the bewildered Ronald bag. What the hell is wrong with this chicken? The blue bird flapped its wings and flew up chirping. Chip means green beans. Why does the black-haired guy call me chicken?